And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man DL Saint. And this is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. Back with you as promised. We are gonna keep the history vibe going. Earlier we were on today. We were talking about the richest man in the world, Masa Musa, and we're also talking about General O. Benjamin O. Davis. And having a good time with that. And today we're going to be, this time around we're going to be talking about World War II. We have Brother Franco on board with us, man. There's someone I met through the Fresh and Fit world. And before we get started, man, that's one of the things that people don't understand about what's going on with YouTube and these different content creators and the platforms that they build, and these these network opportunities that people are making. And it's not just like Fresh and Fit, but Rollo Tomasi, the Joker out there with Better Bachelors, Rich Cooper, even on the blue pill side, you got people who are doing this thing. They're setting up locals, they're doing all this stuff, bringing people together and letting folks share ideas and actually grow and build things together. And that's what's going on here. So I just wanted to bring that out. Shout out to those people who be doing those good things. I had to give them a hand for that. You know what I mean? And that's what we're here to do, man. We're going to be talking about the Second World War. All right. For those of you who don't know, because school doesn't teach you shit. You know what I mean? Let me give you the cliff notes. Right. The Second World War was fought September 39 to September 45. That's 1939 to 1945. And it was a world war. Right. So it involved Europe. The Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, Middle East, Mediterranean, North Africa, Horn of Africa, Central Africa, Australia, North and South America were all involved. And then, here's some just bullet points. It was basically Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, Fascist Italy versus the world. Just to put it to you bluntly, versus the world. And they lost, the world won. How do we know that they lost? Because we're not speaking Japanese, German, or Italian, right? And the fact that I'm alive lets you know that we won, right? Because what Nazis was doing was absolutely horrific. So with all that said, let's bring on our guest today. Brother Franco, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Uncle DL? What are you saying?
I'm all right, man. Let me give you a hand that you deserve, man. We got Brother Mike is in the house. What's good? What's good? We see Fresh and Fit coming through. Thanks for the support, Brother Michael. So yeah, man. You and I, we kind of met through that world, the Fresh and Fit world, in their Patreon. So before we get started, before you tell the world who you are, tell me briefly, man, what brought you to the Manosphere in the first place, man? How did you wind up in a position where we could meet? And I'm not looking for your red pill moment. I'm just wondering, like, in general, what brought you?
Well, not like I guess I have to bring my red pill moment. There's the only way to tell this story.
All right, go ahead. I tell you what. Start with your red pill moment, and then roll into who you are and what you're doing with with your platform. So there you go. We'll make it easy.
All right, I'll try to make it short as possible. Well, I'm a cancer survivor. I've survived stage 4 squamous cell carcinoma. As you can see, this beauty of a scar over here. Well, I'm not going to go into the further details of my situation, though. But long story short, I was divorced a couple years ago. Really didn't know about female nature at the time. Like, really 300% blue pilled, especially when it comes towards female nature and intergender dynamics. And that's why I started the self-help movement to. Self-help phase, and which kind of led me to Fresh and Fit. December 2020. That's when Myron blew up on TikTok, punishing bad behavior, following by why men and women can't be platonic friends. All right, fast forward to I guess 6 months ago. Or I guess a year ago, maybe 6 months. Oh, okay, we'll say 6 months. DL kind of popped into the Telegram chat. We kind of, shoot the shit for a little bit, and next thing you know, we started talking about military stuff, and come to find out that, hey, you're a vet and I'm a vet. Well, I served in the Canadian Forces primary reserves. Did it for 5 years, and DL kind of told me his military history, and we clicked.
That's what's up, man. So this is for you, man, for everything you've done. Surviving cancer is no easy task, bro. Surviving a breakup, a divorce is probably even harder in my book, man. You came out on top. You're still pushing forward. Shout out to you. I didn't know that. You see, this is why these platforms are so great, man. This is the no, we never touched on that, bro. No. And this is the essence of why I wanted to do this platform. You know what I mean? Hence the title, DL Saint. I really want to know. You know what I mean? And I really want to know. So, and dealing with that, bro. And shout out to you, brother. Jason's in the house. What's good, brother? Bro's good. You got fire in there for us, and brother Mike is in there. Like, you know what I mean? Fire. Yes. And brother Mike's always big time supporter of Fresh and Fit. I've seen him just going through the archives. He's been in there. It seems like day one with Myron and Fresh and what they got going on over there. So shout out to you, brother. And brother Jason is into credit repair and then just basic credit knowledge. We did an episode a few days back. We're gonna do a follow-up episode because we ran out of time pretty much. And really delve into it. The brother knows what he's talking about on that credit finesse game. And all we got to do is look at someone like Fresh. He's using his credit and he's doing everything to level himself up. And with him, it's with the cars, with the jewelry, with the lifestyle. He put in the work and he's using that to build his brand, to build his business. And shout out to him, man. It is absolutely working for him. That dude is always working.
Well, speaking of Myron Fresh, they actually inspired me to do this podcast on my own.
No kidding.
Like when they did the whole sound effects, I wish I had my sound effects fixed up. So do you have the Dream World sound by any chance?
Oh, you want to? Well, I have my own version. I got story time. You about to tell a story?
Yeah,
I got story time.
Story time, baby.
All right, here we go. 1 second. We'll get you going with story time, man.
All right. Well, we were watching like Fresh and Fit, how Myron likes to do his soundboards, and I always want to do a podcast, something similar to that. And I was one day scrolling through my phone, which I should be doing doing better stuff, I don't know, do something productive though. But I guess it kind of a good thing that happened because I scrolled through this video on Instagram, how you can transfer TikTok videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that, and this guy was doing a survey, I guess in I don't know, somewhere in California, where he's asking, does anyone know Gen Z kids about the Holocaust? You know what it is, dude? Well, some of these kids, I don't know if it's staged or if they're trying to make I don't know. It looked pretty real, dude. They didn't even know what the hell the Holocaust is. And the last person they interviewed, this fat obese person, I'm not going to say which color or which race, whatever, that's irrelevant, but what's relevant is her reaction. You know what she said? Is that a California thing?
Hey,
and I'm looking, I'm like, are you kidding me, man? What the hell has this generation gotten into? And there's they're too busy watching dumb shit on TikTok for 15 seconds, just watching endless bullshit. What if I can do a podcast that's just does a very short stories on, and then it hit me. I was maybe I can do some episodes, right? Bring them into shorts, do some funnel people through my Instagram, make some shorts, do some some stories, boom. Maybe hopefully they'll flow through the algorithm within all the bullshit, if that makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense, man. And it's, here's the thing. And it's not just Gen Z. It's not just the millennials, man. It's Gen Xers. Americans are stupid. Most Americans, bro, they can't name 3 countries. I can speak on America, man. I've never been to Canada, although I've spent quite a bit of time around Canadians.
We just have snow.
Right. Well, America has snow too. I'm from the Midwest, man. And here's the thing.
Fair enough.
America we don't place any value in knowledge in education. When you can go through America and find people who can't name 3 countries on planet Earth. 3. I mean, dude, at least name your country. There's only 2. At least you got 1. right? And they struggle to name 3 countries, bro. That was not staged, man. But if you ask them what the Kardashians are up to, you know what I
Oh,
mean? If you ask them about the Real
they're all over
Housewives
that.
of,
All over that
absolutely.
shit.
Absolutely, man. So I mean, and it's just one of those things, man. So salute to you, bro. I hope it works out. You know what I mean? I hope people will come and
Oh,
want to learn, or at least they have an act. You're putting it out there. The content's there. So I would say if they get a test on World War II, they can come and watch, or a test on something. But here's the thing: they don't teach this stuff in school anymore, bro. You know, I have a teenage daughter, man. They're not learning anything in school. They're not
what
learning
are they
anything.
learning exactly?
They're learning about pronouns. They're learning how to be gender fluid. They're learning how to paint their hair purple and pink and green, right?
You know, it's funny that you said that because I'm sorry, let's stop you there for a second. I was doing this job last week in elementary school, doing the elementary school renovations. In case you guys want to know what I do full time, I am a mechanical insulator. I work in the trades, and so there's some bulletin boards still there for the kids, and I ran this one bulletin board where they have like 3 different types of transgenderism, 3 different flags, and I'm like, what the hell? It's like there's regular transgenderism, there's I don't know, like native transgenderism and I don't know, dude. Like I can't keep up, man. It's like what
Right.
the hell are they teaching these kids? Like whatever happened to like like we're all human race. There's one race, human race, like a bunch of like kids from different colors holding hands. Whatever happened to that shit, man?
Man, damned if I know, bro. I spent 3 or 4 days trying to explain to my daughter that she's a female of the species because she didn't want to acknowledge the fact that she was a girl. She didn't want to acknowledge the fact that they were boys. She was like, I don't know, maybe I could just be a piece of cheese. It's like, no, you can't. And that was it was a real serious conversation I had to have with my child and I asked her, like, where did you learn this? Again, I wasn't being accusatory. I wasn't screaming at her. We're just having a conversation. I'm like, oh, so, where did you learn this? I mean, you didn't learn this here. Did your mom tell you? No, my mom didn't tell you. What was the people at school? And then here's the thing, on some level, the children, they understand that it's bullshit. They do, because they are reluctant to tell a parent. They know fundamentally something ain't right with what they're being taught. They know something is different in the schools versus being at home. The children understand this. At least in America they do. My daughter really understood this. But, we have an open dialogue always. I'm dad, I discipline, but, I still need my daughter to be able to talk to me so we can sort this out before it becomes an issue. So, bro, they know that, but they can't tell you who fought in the American Civil War.
And this is where we come in.
And this is where we come in. So we're gonna
right now.
So we're gonna talk about World War II. For those who are in the chat, we dropped the Foxtrot Sierra podcast link in the chat. Please go over there, check it out, give him a subscribe. Like, he's brand new, getting going. Show some support, show some love, check out what he's doing, give him some feedback so he can get better. It's in the chat, so do us a favor and do that. So
Appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely, bro, absolutely. So let's talk about World War II, man. Where did you want to begin?
All right, well, let's kind of begin. Well, since we're kind of covering the whole thing, it's a good thing I got my notes here from all my previous episodes.
And let me clear it up, because we're going to talk about why it was so easy in the early stages for Germany with respect to France. Like the thumbnail said, we're already 15 minutes in, so for us to cover all of it in 45 minutes would be boy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Germany invades Poland in 1939, right after they expanded. They annexed Austria, they annexed Czechoslovakia. If you want to go to explicit details, watch my episode, The Nazi Aggression. It'll give you explicit details on it, followed by Rise of the Third Reich.
Now, when they were doing this, France and Great Britain just kind of stood by, right?
Yeah, pretty much. What happened was when Germany invaded Poland, they were so afraid of starting a world war, they really, really did not want to antagonize the Germans enough as is, and it's like an inevitability. It's going to happen one way or another, right? And so there was this phase during the war called the Phony War, which is they pretty much went on the defensive. Actually, hold on, we will. I got it. See, we got this notes here from. Okay, on the 9th of September, 1939. Actually, the French did make a bit of an offensive into Germany while they invaded Poland. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that part. Now explain.
Okay, well they attacked the Saar region, which is like this area in Germany where they had to give up during the in accordance to the Treaty of Versailles after the First World War, and so that's when French decided to invade that territory. But they marched into 5 miles into Germany, into the Saar region, and guess what happens, DL? They were ordered to not only stop, but to withdraw back to the Maginot Line.
So they began to uphold the Treaty of Versailles, as they should have. They were bound by treaty. Mm-hmm. Germany was doing their thing. France was like, okay, and they were stopped and told to return.
Let me re-explain that stuff. During the Treaty of Versailles, Germany had to give up the Rhineland along two regions that's mineral rich. The Ruhr region, R-U-H-R, and the Saar region. When the Nazis took back, when they start building their armies, when they were trying to challenge the Treaty of Versailles, when Hitler took power, he took back the Rhineland along with the Ruhr region and the Saar region, and that's when France and Britain kind of stood by and didn't do anything. Thinking, okay, we kind of kicked their asses in the treaty a little bit. We were kind of unfair. Let them have the territory back, and this thing will blow over. But they kept pushing, as you can see on history.
It was all about appeasement, and this is when, like, American politicians to this day love to use that word appeasement, appease, but they really don't know what part of history we're talking about here, and that had everything to do with Neville Chamberlain and his relationship with Adolf Hitler and his unwillingness to stand up against the Nazi aggression in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely correct.
Okay, and then, so who was the French counterpart? Like, who was the French Prime Minister at the time, or did they even play a role in this to this point?
No, they did. Okay. Again, same thing. I got his name right here. So my notes are kind of everywhere. For Christ.
Because a lot of people, when we get to this part of history, they're like, "Oh, during the war it was Charles de Gaulle." Like, no, de Gaulle was a general.
No, de Gaulle did his part. De Gaulle. Okay, Paul Renard. That's his name. Okay, Prime Minister Paul Renard. Like him and Chamberlain, they're kind of like, they kind of want to play on the defensive because again, they really don't want to antagonize the Germans, and so also the reason why, because they heavily relied on the Maginot Line, which I can kind of pull up here. Just give me a moment here while I get everything set up. All right, here we go.
And a lot of people don't realize this about World War II and these generals. Most of the generals were aristocrats. They had the highest education money could buy, but all these guys were so arrogant. These politicians were arrogant. You had a few exceptions. One of those exceptions was Winston Churchill. Right? He was an aristocrat and he was all that, but what he was not was afraid to face Herr Hitler, right? So, and we'll get into that probably towards the end of this broadcast. But Neville Chamberlain, who simply didn't want to send and commit young men from the Empire to go and die in a senseless war, having been around for World War I, he simply did not want to commit, and this is what allowed Hitler to do what he was doing. It's like, dude, this is what we talk about with bullies. Hitler was pushing the boundaries, man. When someone steps up and they want to quote unquote bully you, you don't deal with that by going to talk to other people and saying, "Hey, let's go over and use our words." No, you punch them in their mouth immediately, and they gonna sit back and be like, "All right, let me go bully somebody else because that guy right there is gonna fight." So Here we go. What did you just load up?
All right, this is the out layer of the Maginot Line. Right here, I'm going to cover this on next Tuesday's episode, Fall of France. That will be my episode 15, though, but here's a little teaser. The Maginot Line, if you guys would read it by now, I'm just going to give like a quick rundown on it. These were from built lessons from the First World War. This is like the state-of-the-art military engineering out there during its time. The original idea is they really want to do it from the Belgian coast of Ypres all the way down to the Italian coast. But there was some political controversy because not only the Belgians are intimidated, but so are the Swiss. And the Swiss are like, dude, really? You kidding me? And the French are like, yeah, okay, maybe we should like just throw it along the Franco-German border. And yeah, so they heavily rely on that, plus the Ardennes Forest, which they believe that it is too thick to drive tanks through.
Yeah, impenetrable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I fought in the war when they were saying stuff like that. Well, there's a natural barrier. There's this big desert. There's no way that you can get a army full of tanks through that desert. And this was Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard and Saddam Hussein's army. Like, so we don't have to worry about that desert. And guess what we did as the Americans? We drove our tanks right through that desert and we lit their ass up. America.
America. Fuck yeah.
America. So we got a wonderful 34 in the house. What's good, brother? Welcome. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate the support.
What up?
We're here with the Foxtrot Sierra podcast, man. We getting into the weeds with some World War II. So all right, so the Maginot Line. Like, I've heard of Maginot Line. I understand how that fortification was supposed to deter any sort of attack. But I also know how effective it was. So continue then. So we see what the Maginot Line was all about. And so France wasn't really concerned about Germany pushing into their country because of this. I think at the time France had more armor than Germany did.
Yes, they did. They outnumbered them. They had a much. Stop sharing this. They had a much better equipped, much better trained army than Germany. And yeah, of course, like this Maginot Line that I showed you, it's supposed to hold the offensive hold defensive for only 20 days until they can actually get the bulk of the French army to go on the offensive. That's the whole general idea of having this Maginot Line.
Wow, and that was the plan. Like, okay, this is a great plan. It's one of those things. Looks good on paper.
Yep.
This is great. And then keep in mind, you got these generals. We're brilliant. No one can tell us anything. So we don't have to worry about Germany. So you got the French, who are supremely confident, maybe overconfident, and you have Great Britain, and the Prime Minister who simply doesn't want to commit to a war.
Yeah, so they were slowly like disembarking like from France. Before during the 40 War happened, let's not forget the Norwegian and Danish campaign. This is when Germany tried to invade up north to invade Denmark because it's in the way, and also they want to use the launch pad to invade Norway because they had the iron that they needed to build more tanks, more rifles, whatever. And so the British, actually the Allied forces, did dispatch their troops over to Norway, though, but they were taking their time, and that took a advantage for the Luftwaffe, which is the German Air Force at the time, to pretty much bomb the living shit out of them. And it kind of turned to a debacle. And they ended up pulling out of Norway because that's when Germany invaded France. And we'll explain how in a minute.
All right, because we're going to definitely have to get to that part. And the thing is this, the thing that's funny to me, under the sanctions and under all of the, rules and reprisals of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany wasn't supposed to have all these personnel. They're not supposed to have the standing army. They're certainly not supposed to have the armor. They're certainly not supposed to have the Air Force. But they built all that. They trained their pilots using gliders. They did all this stuff on the low, hush hush, right? Meanwhile, you got France and Germany, you got France and Great Britain watching, and there are people in, within the apparatus in Great Britain, like, yo, they're building up an army. No, they're not. No, they're not. Don't say that.
According to Nicholas Zetterling in his book Blitzkrieg, the first Panzer tanks, the Panzer I and Panzer II, they actually made a deal with the Soviets during the time to test their tanks but in disguise as quote unquote agricultural tractors.
Smart.
Yeah.
Right? They got away with it. They knew what they were doing. And that's the thing about politics, guys. There are people out there like they just want to plug their ears, close their eyes, and scream no, 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 because they just don't want to deal with the truth. Right? These are the people who will fight to stay ignorant. Blue pill. right? The red pill guys, the red pill women and men are those people who are like, yo, man, those are not tractors, those are tanks, right? Yo, man, they got all these. Why do you need 8,000 pilots? Why you got all these guys in gliders, man? They got airplanes somewhere, right? Right. Why are you marching on these, these countries that are just full of these natural resources that you need to build up an army? And the red pill people are screaming. The thing about being unplugged is eventually those people who are trying to deny it, they come to the fact that, you know what, there's some truth there, right? So, and then Brother Mike was saying, communism looks great on paper.
Yeah, I was reading that. Yeah, that's true.
Sure does. Looks great on paper. How did that work out for the people behind the Iron Curtain? So, all right, so let's get into it, man, because we're coming up on almost a halfway mark, man. Let's actually get into the invasion of France, and I'm sure it's going to have a lot to do with the Maginot Line. It's going to have a lot to do with a whole bunch of other stuff.
Absolutely. All right, let's kind of start when okay, there was this general named Erich von Manstein. Okay, actually, originally the German plan was the if you look at my first episode, second episode, the Schlieffen Plan. During the First World War, the Germans kind of want a button hook through Belgium. Again, like nothing to do with the Netherlands, because the Netherlands was neutral during the First World War. So that's why they want to invade Belgium. Button hook around Paris, enough to like just eliminate the Allied army, and then concentrate their forces east towards the Russians. That was the plan. And fast forward to 1940, German conservative generals really wanted to repeat that plan again, but include the Netherlands this time. And though this plan was designed to fail because these German generals don't want another war with France, because, dude, they tried 4 freaking years trying to defend France with a much bigger, better trained army, and they lost. Yes. So they're like, well, we can't have this freaking war. So, but there we go. This guy named Erich von Manstein, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein. He kind of devised a plan to use speed and aggression through the Ardennes.
Which was a crazy plan. All the generals thought, like, he must be out of his mind.
Just like shut him the fuck up.
And there was one person who was interested in this plan. I wonder who it was.
Yep, the Führer himself. And then he took another opportunity behind the conservative general's back, and Hitler was persuaded. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. And so guess who spearheaded the Blitzkrieg? Well, let's hang on.
And a lot of people, like, when you got to understand, like, whenever there's a war, generals are always fighting the previous war. Mm-hmm. They never take a war on and say, well, this is different. We need to come up with a new way of doing things.
Yep, there you go. And anyway, so spearheading this Blitzkrieg, I got this notes over here. What is Blitzkrieg? Lightning war, that's what it means. It emphasizes speed through motorization of forces, concentration of attacks, and up-to-the-minute communications between units. And so, in order to spearhead this is this guy named Hans Guderian. That was the man who kind of spearheaded to the Ardennes, and we'll explain that in a minute. But first, they decided to initiate the Schlieffen-like plan and invaded the Netherlands and Belgium. And so first they parachuted troops down to Rotterdam area. And so the Dutch are trying to react because they haven't fought a war since 1860 something. Like in European soil, and they've been neutral throughout the First World War. And they're like, holy shit, Nazis are invading us out of nowhere. We got to do something. So they did try to pull back to, some river causeway area to hold the line, though. But those paratroopers kind of fucked up their plan already. And that's how the Netherlands pretty much fell. And there we have Belgium trying to hold on. And then once again, repeat of the First World War, getting that ass spanked.
And
And
at this point,
I'm sorry. Sorry, before I finish. While they're invading, the Allies actually thinking, all right, we planned this before. We can do this again. All right, concentrate their forces right into the Belgian area. So, but guess what happens? There's Guderian driving his fucking panzer troops right through the Ardennes, bypassing the Maginot Line, right behind the troops somewhat. And I actually got a map right here, if I can pull it up here.
and then, and here's the one thing you need to realize, you guys who are listening to this. It wasn't until this point that Great Britain and France were like, okay, Germany is being bad. We need to declare war, which shocked Hitler. Hitler didn't believe that Great Britain and France would actually declare war. He was kind of shocked by this whole thing.
Oh yeah. Sorry, folks, forgot to mention that. He was like he really didn't take the British and the French seriously, right? So when he invaded Poland, it's like Poland has nothing to do with Britain, has nothing to do with France, whatever. I'm more concerned about the Russians, and so that's why they signed the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, of course, the non-aggression pact, and this pretty much shocked the living f out of the world. So I should like ease up my swearing.
But yeah, but this is important to throw out there. The political aspect of this is major. You know what I mean? Because now you have, like we said, you got the Prime Minister of Great Britain telling people, "I have this piece of paper that's going to secure freedom in our time, peace in our time."
At the Munich conference.
At the Munich conference, he's convinced that Hitler's not going to do anything. Meanwhile, there was a growing contingent of people within Great Britain. It was like, this man is out of his mind. Hitler is clearly ready to attack, clearly going to attack and take Europe. We need to do something. And it took that. It took Hitler sending his paratroopers in. By the way, the reason American airborne soldiers and airborne forces are such an integral part of our military is because of how good Germany's airborne forces were. Right? Same thing with their armor. I mean, look at our helmets. You look at our helmet. Like when I served our helmets look just like the German helmets from World War II. There was a lot going on. There are a lot of weapons that came out of that war from Germany that are still effective today. The German machine gun, for one. That MG ain't no joke.
You know, funny thing is, if you look at the Chilean army today, they're actually dressed like World War II German soldiers.
That's crazy. But I mean, those are some real Hugo Boss uniforms, man. I ain't gonna lie, they were hot. They were hot. Miss AKA ladies in the house, welcome, love, good to see you. Thanks for coming through. Viking Paradigms in the house, brother Viking. What's good?
I like that.
Yeah, what's good, brother Viking? And brother Viking saying, yeah, he was shocked because they had been supporting him on the down low. Exactly. And you had that. There was a lot of Nazi supporters throughout the world. In the U.S. especially. A lot of people don't like talking about this, but the ambassador of the U.S. that was in Britain was Kennedy. And Joseph Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, Joseph P. Kennedy. I just have a brain fart right now. The president's...
Yeah, that's the father.
JFK's father. There we go. Sorry.
Yep. He was, no problem. And people don't like bringing this up because their family name is so synonymous with America. He was lightweight a Nazi supporter, right? And it was because they had to get rid of him. They had to bring him back to the U.S. because all the way up until this point, he was trying to sabotage the efforts to stand up against Germany. So a lot of people don't realize this, man. Politics and the elites and all this war was a war that the 1% would fight. And I think it's the last time that the 1% has fought a war. Ever since then, it's been us peons. The brokies have been fighting. But this is a time when the 1% was sending their children to go fight. And Kennedy, his sons went off and fought. They fought the Germans. He lost a son in an experimental accident in Germany. As a matter of fact, his oldest son was killed in an accident flying a modified B-17. Was there early attempts at radio-controlled flight. He couldn't make it out the aircraft. He died. You know what I mean? And then we all know the story of Robert Kennedy in the Pacific, PT-109. And then, we know what happened to his youngest brother, who gave his life for his country just trying to be president. So, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that in real quick.
Yes, sir. All right. Damn. Oh, get this. Okay, the invasion of the neutral countries. Not only the Netherlands and Belgium was invaded, but Iceland was also invaded by Britain. Oh, didn't see that, did you?
People want excuses to do stuff, man. Whenever there's an opportunity to make a move, that's when you do it.
There was a strategic reason behind that because, because the Allies trying to convince the Icelandic government, side with us, and the Icelandic was like, no, we don't want anything to do with this. And but Britain send their Royal Marines anyway, saying, you know what, screw you, we're just going to come in there anyway. You guys will have military, whatever. And so on May 10th, they invaded right there, and they start establishing a destroyer and a scout plane base to help Atlantic shipping convoys against German U-boats. All right, this map I have right in front of you, folks. This is pretty much the down low on how everything went down. All right, so you have Army Group B, Army Group A, and Army Group C. All right, so
so when we're talking about Army Groups A, B, and C,
yeah,
obviously we're talking about German forces.
Yes,
all
correct.
right.
And so the new plan is okay. We're gonna call the Allies bluff by initiating this Schlieffenlight plan. Army Group B is going to invade Belgium. Of course, they swooped down through southern Holland after they were defeated. But what they didn't know, Army Group C is keeping the Maginot Line occupied, kind of keep them busy. And here comes Army Group A, kind of spearheading this thing. I said his name again, Guderian, and Erwin Rommel had a part of this invasion as well. And so Army Group A rushes through the Ardennes. And then this is where the Allies had their most thinnest of defenses, like skeleton defense. And they just plowed right through the Ardennes. First border town was Sedan. Normally in the First World War, they took them years to take it. They kind of predict, the French army today kind of predicted it was going to take them weeks. But it took them days, dude. Like 3 days. 3 days, 3 nights, Sedan was taken.
Yeah, you can do that when you're mobile and you're ready and you're motivated. Yep. And then, so everyone's really worried about what Army Group C was going to do. Army Group B makes this move, which the Allies being Great Britain and France were anticipating this move, so they moved their forces there as anticipated, leaving the Ardennes wide open for Army Group A, and with this brand new Blitzkrieg tactic to do what they got to do and make it happen. Miss AKA Lady, not the Kennedys being Nazi supporters, absolutely. Absolutely. So and then with that, you said within 6 days they were doing things that took years to do during the First World War. What was the next step?
All right. So therefore, the next step is to split the forces, the main French forces from the British French forces, in which they reluctantly succeeded. How they succeeded is when Guderian was ordered to stop his his panzer divisions, in order for the infantry to for them to keep up, because they were hogging their asses, beating the crap out of the French. So wait for them to keep up, but Guderian can't break the momentum. It's like, no, we gotta go, we gotta do this now. So he kind of said F you to the orders and just drove his panzer troops all the way up to the sea. And that and that alone really disoriented the British and the French. They're like, what the fuck's going on? And they're trying to get themselves organized. And after the Germans took Sedan, the French tried to make a counteroffensive, but they were met with Stuka dive bombers. And they were just bombing the living crap out of them. They really didn't do much damage to the troops, but the psychological part, the whistling bombs, the screaming engines, the explosions, that would break any person's mind. And especially, they fought a major war, couple decades back, and they remembered the atrocities, the nightmares of it, and they really didn't want, and they're reliving that again, make it stop.
Well, it was that, and it was also the problem with France and the French army during this period in history, especially with facing Blitzkrieg, facing the Germans, was a lack of leadership. It was an absolute lack of leadership.
Yes.
And your key, you said the German key to success was speed, communication.
Yep,
Well,
and up to the minute communication. Yep, they gotta like be on top of each other, and it was a cooperation between Army and Air Force.
right, working in tandem, hand in glove. Well, they're facing a force, the French army, who had neither speed nor communication. In fact, the commanding general didn't believe in telegrams. He wouldn't use that. He didn't believe in radio, wireless, because he thought that it was compromising his orders would get to the Germans instead of his own troops. So they would use pigeons and human couriers to get money, information back and forth to find out what the situation is and then send his orders out. So here's the thing.
Oh, speaking of couriers, like, I apologize for a minute. Speaking of couriers, like they try to send couriers like in between like units, like during when the Germans were trying to push like through the French-Belgian border, though. But people are trying to get the fuck out of there because they remember the First World War. They're like, we're not reliving this shit again, and so trying to get a runner up there between like these people trying to get away from the battle, like it took them like weeks, months to get like a message across. Because it's like you said before, like this guy like really didn't believe in telecommunication lines. And even the troops did do telecommunication or telephone lines, which they did have. They kept getting cut down by bombers.
Yep, you would absolutely. So, but the point being, the reason France failed and Germany succeeded, and it was so lopsided, was because the very factors that made Blitzkrieg so effective was the same factors that made the French forces so ineffective. And what I mean by that is they didn't have communication and they didn't have speed on their side, and so they lost. You know what I mean? So, and that's crazy. And I see put up a picture of some of the German aircraft from World War II.
Yes, these were the Luftwaffe planes like that kind of participated during the campaign. All right, so you have the HE 123A, if I can read that correctly. Yep. This is like this is like one of their fighters, like the BF-1, the famous Mr. Smith BF-109s. Like they were introduced in the battle though, but they weren't even actually mass-produced yet. So exactly later in 1940 when they attack Britain, thus kicking off the Battle of Britain. Though that's another podcast of its own.
And you notice, guys, you're looking at the technology, man. They're still using biplane technology at the beginning of World War II. You know what I mean? And by the end of this war, we had jets. So think about how fast and how far technology and development went over this 4-year span.
And then, of course, you have your Junkers JU Stuka dive bomber. These ones were the screamers. What they will do is they dive deep down, like so down to the point where that's what you have to do. Like that's the only way to be accurate is you do this death-defying dive. To the point where like the air is actually making the engines like basically scream, and you can hear that from the ground. Then once you drop that bomb, you gotta dive right out, and you can hear that bomb dropping down. And of course, not only makes a psychological effect though, but once the bomb hits its target, it does some pretty good damage. And of course, you have the other Messerschmitt model, and you have 2 other bombers. The BF-110. And the BF-110, that was the another fighter. It was like a sort of its own version of the P-38 Lightning.
Well, I think it was closer. It was closer akin to the Mosquito, the British Mosquito, which was an all wooden plane, but it was a lethal combat fighter and a night fighter. It looked a lot like this, whereas the Lightning had that major cross tail in the back.
Yes. Trying to think back. Yep.
And I'm an aviation guy. I'm a retired air traffic controller, so it was my job to be able to recognize these airplanes.
This is your neck of the woods here, brother.
Yeah. So, but no, still an effective fighter until that Messerschmitt, that 109 got out there, and it was another fighter that they used commonly. It wasn't the 109. It was a lighter single engine fighter. I cannot think of the name of it. Which one?
The Focke-Wulf.
The Focke-Wulf, yes. Yep. So the Focke-Wulfs and the 109s accounted for most of the kills during that war, and Those pilots were some of the best pilots in the world, and it took the Allies a long time to get up to snuff. But Great Britain managed to do it. Battle of Britain, which is definitely another episode. But the British fighters, along with the help of radar, were able to and some luck, were able to fight off the Luftwaffe. So, man, that's crazy. So, okay, with that particular battle plan, they were able to take France. How long did it take them to take France?
Well, the battle kind of went from. I do have like my notes here. Actually, it took them pretty much like a month to take France. Pretty much like the entire month of May, they pretty much took them whereas like First World War they tried 4 years and failed. Within a month, when they initiated this plan, they succeeded, even though the Allies, Allied reconnaissance, especially French reconnaissance planes, and this is where you and I was talking about. You know where I'm going with this.
Yes, sir.
There was a major traffic jam behind the Ardennes forest. Oh, what are you pulling up here? Ah, here we go.
Traffic jam.
There we go. Oh, I knew you got to pull that out. All right. You can run this article. Like I can explain it though, but I think you can explain this better than I can.
Yeah, I mean, it just talks about so when they came up with this battle plan. Again, very audacious, very bold, and in war, fate tends to favor the bold, and it was working. But this was the one snag that no one encountered, right? So when they hit the road to Ardennes, and this is the German army, it kicked off a traffic jam that was 250 kilometers long. Ooh. 250. The entire Wehrmacht was on that was the German army. The entire German army is on this road to Ardennes.
And I'm presuming this is Army Group A.
There was a French reconnaissance plane that saw this, reported back to the French general, said, listen, the entire German army is on this road to Ardennes. Remember what I said about them being arrogant and these, aristocratic leaders?
Yep.
The French general was like, there's no way.
General Gamelin was like, nope, that can't be true. Actually, technically, some of the generals, some of the French commanders did take it seriously, so they tried dispatching bombers. But when Gamelin find out, they're like, what are you doing? No, that's not true. Turn them back.
Right.
And bomb some other bullshit target.
So, people, here's the thing. You guys are like, so what's the big thing, bro? What are y'all talking about? World War II would have ended that day. Mm-hmm. It would have been over. They would have wiped out the German army that day.
Yep, and what was it? Army Group B would have been annihilated because they were supposed to be the decoy force. Yep, that decoy force is gone.
Exactly. World War II would have ended that day. It was a real gamble. And the fact is, that one man, that French general, who knew better.
Fucking gamble.
You know what I mean? That just blows. Every time I think about it, think about that, y'all. No Holocaust. Right? No Battle of Britain. None of that. Yep. You know what I mean? No, the Rush. No Stalingrad. No Leningrad. Think about that.
No death of Jewish people.
No Holocaust. Yes.
No 6 million deaths.
6 million deaths. No political dissidents dying. Gypsies dying. Jews being killed simply because of who they are. No war in North Africa.
I wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, think about it.
Sorry. If the Nazis would have won, I wouldn't have been alive.
Exactly. So,
because my grandma was a Ukrainian Cossack, and she was in the concentration camp.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yep. Cossacks were on the hit list as well. And who are you pulling out here?
Yeah, like Cossack and everyone. I was just looking at the article itself. It got pretty deep. It basically said what you were saying.
Here he is. This is the guy who planned it. Gerald von Manstein. This is the guy right here.
That's it. Erich von Manstein. There he is. The luckiest man in Germany at that time, because his plan did fail. And all France and Germany had to do was send the bombers that were dispatched to blow them up, but got recalled by this cocky, confident French general.
Guderian and perhaps Rommel would have been dead.
Yeah, Rommel again. Rommel would have made it to North Africa. The war would have ended that day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that no one taught me about in school. No one at all taught me about this. And that, I mean, it's like, wow, World War II didn't even have to happen. But this is what happened when you're ignorant, when you're arrogant, when you know everything, know-it-alls of the world. You know, unfortunately, all these people had to pay with their lives for his incompetence.
Yeah.
And this is why people always look at France and say what they say about France. I'm cool with France because without France there'd be no America. But later on, without America, there'll be no France. So I think we even that up. But man, that's insane, and that's a true fact. Yeah, that was the worst traffic jam in history up until that point. Of course, there's far worse now. But man, the war could have been over right then. So,
during the Phony War, Chamberlain was and Prime Minister
of Great Britain.
I got this notes right here about the Phony War. The British and French tried to do their own naval blockade again as per World War One, but that couldn't been done because they had superior submarines, they had the advantage, and the Allies couldn't stop the blockade, so they really couldn't do an embargo on them. And of course, there wasn't much fighting in the air. Let's say the only thing that Chamberlain did was dispatch bombers to drop leaflets, propaganda leaflets, because he still wants to try to make peace with Adolf Hitler. And then after the Norwegian campaign failed, he had to resign. And the original guy was not Churchill, but Lord Halifax.
They wanted Halifax. Halifax was the favorite.
Yeah, no, but Halifax, however, was like, no, you know what? I'd rather have Churchill do it and me as his deputy minister. And so they had that going, and Churchill was both the prime minister and the minister of defense. And however, get this, guys, Halifax was also on Joseph Kennedy's side. They really wanted to make peace with the Nazis as well. And so, therefore, him and Kennedy kind of went behind Churchill's back. And it gives you an idea what Churchill was dealing with here. Like, he was not only dealing with the Nazis, though, but he was dealing with people in his own conservative government.
Well, you know, Churchill believed in the adage, you know, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. He knew what Chamberlain and Halifax were up to. He knew what they were up to. He placed them on the cabinet. He knew what he had to do. And there's some pretty good movies about that. There was one. God, I can't remember the name of the actor. Very well-known actor. Just did not too long ago a movie about this time period with Winston Churchill. And I tell you what, they almost got him. So he's fighting the war on two fronts. He's fighting the war at home, the political war, and he's trying to get after Hitler.
Because he's the only one. He's the only one that like didn't want to make peace with Hitler. He's like, fuck these Nazi assholes. Let's kick their asses now.
Yeah, and people were real hesitant to follow Churchill because of his reputation in World War One.
Yeah, like he made a lot of mistakes, especially when you guys watch my episode 3, Anzac, the Gallipoli campaign. Churchill tried to send ships through the Dardanelles in order to send supplies through their Tsarist imperialist Russian allies. But the plan was failed because he really didn't predict how powerful the coastal cannons are, plus including the mines that are there, and he was using obsolete battleships, thinking that once again underestimating the enemy. He underestimated the Turkish, which failed. Little did he know that once you fight Turkish people in their homeland, they're hellbent. They will do anything to get you the fuck out of there.
Yeah, to this day, the Turks fight like that. They're tenacious fighters. I know that the Turks had a very lethal reputation in the Korea War, or police action, depending on who you talk to. But no one wants to deal with the Turks to this day. You want them on your side. They are like berserkers. You know what I mean?
That's why NATO kind of signed them on. They're like, Yeah, these are the kind of berserkers that we want on our side. So we'll keep this one close. Break glass in case of emergency.
I'm telling you right now, I've gone on some mission with some Turks, bro. Them dudes are cyborgs. I'm here to tell you, they smoke, they chain smoke, they drink like fish. You
And
know what I mean?
they're probably more in shape than your average 20-year-old Westerner.
I don't know how they do it, man. Like I said, I've been on missions with those guys. I don't know how they do it. I got a lot of respect for the Turks, and I have a lot of respect for the rock soldiers, rock Marines. You know what I mean? Republic of Korea Marines. Some of the toughest humans I've ever come across. So yeah, but I'll go ahead.
Oh, so I was gonna say, did you do something at the DMZ?
Yeah, I was a DM, yeah, DMZ, yeah, DMZ.
Okay, I'm kidding here. So like I say the word Z. So yeah, forgive me. So yeah,
I know it's all good. That's how we're supposed to say Z, but we're it's all about America. Yeah, we say what we feel here.
Americans, like, you guys have, like, your English is more logical, let's just say.
Is it?
Yeah, because, like, for example, the word color, like, I spell COLOUR. You guys don't use the U on. It's just color, straightforward.
Right. That's just because we can't spell. That just kind of happens. Same thing with tires. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I've gotten a chance to do that. Like, I've served with, the Scots Dragoons. I've been on missions with French Foreign Legionnaires. I've been on, I've never gone on a mission with a Canadian. And Canadian, I've never had that opportunity, but a lot of other people. Yeah, and I've met some Russian soldiers after, as a civilian. You know what I mean? Got to drink some vodka and get wild with some cats. So yeah, bro, this is really good. Brother Mike was saying just had a humbling moment, DL. He was saying makes you very grateful to be alive. Absolutely. We got to study history, people. We need to know where we came from if we have any idea to know where we're going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I actually believe in that. So France failed.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to just before they failed. That brings us to the evacuation at Dunkirk. Did you want to talk? We could end off with that.
Because Dunkirk, that's a whole podcast of its own. Though, before we go, you're probably wondering, like, how the hell did the Germans did not sleep during this attack? Well,
yeah.
Hang on. Oh yeah, you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yes.
Oh man, let's just call it Nazis on crack.
Yeah, the Germans were high as hell, y'all. They were on methamphetamine.
Okay, I'm gonna like power through this. I was supposed to do this on my episode, but fuck this, I'll do this anyway. All right. Okay, so the German officers issued pills to their troops to help combat fatigue. This is what the pill Pertrivin is. So it pretty much is crystal meth in pill form. Because it's sold as a pick-me-up, so over-the-counter pick-me-up medicine in Germany in order to get like a lot of stuff done. But little do they know, they're popping crystal methamphetamine in them. And we've all seen crackheads, right? They have this burst of energy out of nowhere. So that's what the Nazis were doing. They're issuing not only to the soldiers, but to the pilots as well. So that's why you see the Luftwaffe just bombing day and night. And so they perform like pretty much Superman. And therefore, how like this, being a Nazi fanatic plus drugs equals overwhelming force. And this operation would not have been possible if it weren't for this drug. And of course, they probably had some bad withdrawal, like very bad withdrawal. Like there are reports of a Luftwaffe pilots like getting to accidents trying to land. I guess the drugs are wearing off. They're going through withdrawal. And yeah. Sorry,
when you crash off your drugs, man, and you're flying an airplane, that gives crash a whole new meaning. Yeah, and you're right. They were 100% stemmed up. That was the only way they can get through all that. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense because they were moving. As a guy who I've been out there, I've been in the field. It's as an infantry guy, like for the infantry guys right. So in trying to keep up with, as infantry, you're trying to keep up with armor. They're moving really quick. You got to hump all your gear. You're fighting. You're doing whatever. You get those highs and lows of adrenaline.
Yep.
But it just can't last forever. So you popping these pills. And yeah, that makes you a super soldier. I mean, that makes you don't care about the bullets. You're
Nope.
out there just
You,
pushing
like
forward.
your empathy, your humility, and plus these guys are fanatics, so they didn't give a fuck what they're doing to them. They didn't give a fuck how badly they've been blown up, how much damage they do. They're like, hell yeah, I'm doing this for my country. Hell yeah, Zeke Heil, bang bang. Like they
Doing
didn't care.
anything. Yeah, brother Michael saying Fed is going live. Yeah, go there. Definitely go support Myron on Fed. I'm not sure what they're doing. Yeah, what he's doing today, but definitely go over there and support. We're wrapping up here. It was one last thing I wanted to bring up.
Dunkirk.
And no, like we said, we'll talk about, like you said, Dunkirk. That's another episode.
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to talk about,
we'll do like a short version of it. Okay, so the Allies pretty much like consolidated in the Sea of Dunkirk. They try to defend it, and it was pretty much like a miracle combining of bad weather and a whole bunch of like materials as well. There was as far as like Hitler like holding off the attack as per good gesture, hoping that like he's saying, hey, Churchill, I'm sparing your men, make peace with me. And of course Churchill's like, fuck no, I'm not doing this. And so, long story short, they evacuated pretty much the entire British Expeditionary Force and some French troops.
Yeah, to the tune of, I want to say 100, maybe 200 French troops. And here's the thing with that. The way they did it, they didn't have enough landing craft or small craft to help get the soldiers off the beach and to the warships to get them back home. The Luftwaffe bombed out all of the piers. They couldn't, there was no way to do it. So they put out an order to all of the British people, and they needed any type of craft that was a certain footage that could get up to the beach. Yep. And the British people responded in such a way that I've never seen since. They answered the call, and the plan was, we're going to come take your boat, your yacht, whatever you got, and it's going to be manned by sailors. But no, the owners of these ships was like, no, we're going to take it over because they were so committed.
I forget his name though, but he was in the crew of the Titanic. That's all I know. So he brought his son and one of his crewmates, and they were like, "Hey, you gonna take my boat? I captain it, and I follow my own orders. Fuck off."
But it was like that's how committed they were. I mean, you talk about patriotism, and they went and they rescued their soldiers off that French beach and brought them home. That right there was just a feat that will always be a source of pride. If you're British, no matter what, and if you're French, you know what I mean, you're gonna be always indebted to those Brits across the channel. But that was just amazing. And the one final thing, we'll end on one thing here. But Brother Michael was saying before they were famous, just did a video on
Chico.
Chico, yeah, wow, okay, we are trending. Yes, we are. They're making it happen, man. There's a lot going on with the manosphere. I'm telling you, man, it is mainstream media needs to report on what's going on in the manosphere. They need to talk about the red pill world because that's where the views are. Everyone's talking about it. Shout out to Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers. Shout out to Fresh and Fit, Rollo Tomasi, Rich Cooper, everyone else. That's where people are looking. You know what I mean? So it's of course, mainstream media is going to come over here. I just saw an article in the New York Post about a guy talking about how dating apps are terrible for men. I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the mainstream media about hypergamy and feminism, how that's bad for women, and how women are too masculine, and there's nothing wrong with being feminine. I'm just starting to see it. I'm working on the show about that as we speak. Well, not telling you as we speak because I'm in a show right now. But the one thing I wanted to point out, Bill Burr, one of my favorite comedians.
Okay.
In his last special, talked about how the woke mob wanted to cancel all these men, even dead men, John Wayne and Sean Connery, right? They going back to
even Frank Sinatra. Like, come on.
Frank Sinatra. They want to go back. They want to cancel these guys, but they don't want to cancel any females. Like, you're not hearing about any females. Like, really? You mean to tell me the women haven't done anything wrong? So, Bill Burr brought up Coco Chanel.
Chanel.
Every American woman and probably every woman in the first world country knows exactly who Coco Chanel is, but more importantly, the brand, Coco Chanel. It is synonymous with elegance. You know what I mean? With being regal, being elite. Her purses, her perfume, her anything with Coco Chanel is the thing. And I told my people who is very wealthy and well-to-do about Coco. They're like, look, we ain't canceling Coco Chanel. Leave. She had a Chanel bag on as we're having this conversation. But here's the thing about Coco Chanel. She built this company in the 1920s. The brand is still major today. Yep. But there's one thing about Coco Chanel. She was a Nazi sympathizer.
Yep. When the Nazis took France, and let's just say on 14th of June, she immediately went in bed. Not went in bed, stayed in the same building where the top Nazi officers were. And started playing with them.
She moved into the hotel where all the top Nazis were. Yeah, and then she started a relationship.
Started relationships, sleeping with them, escorting them through balls and galleries, having the time of her life, while the rest of the Parisians are fucking starving.
Yes, and she was only out to basically better herself. She had a relationship with Winston Churchill. Well, of course it was survival, and this is again what the red pill word is always preaching. What, right? Women, when conquered, have to have the ability to embrace the conqueror. It's for their own protection, and more importantly, for the protection of their children if they have any.
It's their survival mechanism. It is what it is.
And it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's like Bill Burr said, I ain't mad at Coco Chanel, but yeah, go watch.
Though, but hey, if we're gonna cancel someone, cancel that Nazi sympathizing asshole, Chanel.
She was banging a dude, and this is straight from, I'm just paraphrasing, but what Bill Burr said was you remember when you go to the Holocaust Museum, you see that big bin full of little kids' shoes, right there, and he's like, yeah, Coco Chanel was smashing the dude, banging the dude, licking on the dude that did that, right?
But he said it in a more vulgar way that when people go, oh, and start laughing because it's so freaking true.
Right, and he ends it with, so remind me, what did Sean Connery do? Oh, brilliant.
Or just got a law slap and a little bit of punch.
You know what I mean? So yes, and her Winston Churchill, I guess, or his people were able to to classify her record as a Nazi sympathizer and a spy, a Nazi courier, and it was only. It took a while, but it was eventually, I think in the 50s, it was declassified and people, it came out to the open what she was doing. And late in life, she was still helping Nazis into the 50s, the late 50s, into the 60s. She was still helping Nazis. So I mean, it is what it is. Hey man, she's a team player. You know what I mean? She's a team player. She had to leave France because the French people weren't having it.
Oh, buddy, they wanted her head, so that's why she retreated to Switzerland.
Yes, they wasn't having it. So, yeah, man, it just goes to show, right? It just goes to show. Wonderful 34 traitor, absolutely. I mean, she was just, can't get mad at people for being themselves, man. And this is the thing: women will fight you tooth and nail on this. But if the Martians came down and took over planet Earth, they would get rid of all of the men and all of the fighting age boys, and they would take all the women and babies, so they can have little Martian babies and take over. And the women would be like, okay, I guess I'm going to be smashing this Martian dude. It is what it is. It's a survival mechanism. Miss AKA Lady. By the way, Miss AKA Lady and I are going to have an episode coming up real soon where we're going to be debating.
What you say? They want to cancel yesterday's actions with today's standards. A lot of companies were in the Nazis' pockets too. Big freaking facts right there.
No, that's real facts. Politics is, war is just extreme politics. But Miss AKA Lady and I are going to have a discussion about student loan debt. Should it be forgiven by the government or not? The perks and the pros and cons of that. We're going to work out that date hopefully within maybe by the end of this week, hopefully by next week, we'll see. But we're going to have this debate. I cannot wait, Miss AK. She gave me a challenge and I have accepted because I'm not scared.
Accepted. Let's go.
So it's going down, and I am so looking forward to that. I can't wait to have you on, Miss AKA Lady. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna hit you up, and then we're gonna work out the details. Wonderful 34, brother Mike are both like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Miss AKA Lady, folks go blind when they see a designer level. Yeah, they do. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, man. Hugo Boss, man, they made those uniforms for the Nazis, bro. The SS uniforms is hot, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Look at all the uniforms from World War II. I'm telling you, Germany had the best. If the war was based on fashion, Germany would have won hands down.
I like this. I like what Miss AK lady says. I would go find me a high value Martian.
Keeping it real, we 100 over here.
Get yourself an Andrew Tate Martian, if anyone.
You over here smashing that, that green Martian pink, just making it happen. Like, rock me out, baby. Rock me Amadeus. So, all right, yo. Foxtrot Sierra podcast, man. Frank, man, thanks for coming over here, man, and enlightening us on World War II.
Dude, thanks for having me. Like, we gotta do this again.
Yeah, we definitely gonna work some stuff out.
Of course, you can find me on my YouTube. Just search Foxtrot Sierra podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at the Foxtrot Sierra podcast and Reddit. Pretty much the same thing as Instagram that I do. It's Foxtrot Sierra pod. Type that, and yeah, just give me a follow. Help me with the algorithm. Help me get this information out there, so people like that individual, next time when you say the Holocaust, she better have like a negative reaction towards Nazis instead of saying, "Is that a California thing?"
Yeah, bro, she gonna say is that a California thing because people are stupid in this country, man. But that's like another thing. I did drop the link above. If you guys want to go over and hit his link, man, go over to the Foxtrot Sierra podcast, give it a sub, show some love. I mean, it's it doesn't hurt to sub, man. Go over there and check out what he's got going on. Thanks to everyone who was here, brother Mike. Thank you so much, brother Jason popped in, wonderful Mike. 34, yeah, Miss AKA lady in the house, Viking Paradigm. Thanks for coming through, brother. I really appreciate support. I really do. I
just realized you're Foxtrot. Hey there.
You know what I mean? Let's see. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. Thank y'all so much. And then brother Mike was like, yeah, this was the best. I appreciate that, man. That's real. You know what I mean? We don't be lying over here. If it's trash, you got to tell us it's trash so we know how to adjust. So I know how to adjust. And if it's fire, tell me it's fire so I know how to adjust. Miss AKA lady, oh, wow, I just realized you're Foxtrot. LOL, hey there. That's so funny. Yeah. That is hilarious. And brother Michael went over, subbed, just like that. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. So
get me up.
So yo, go over there, support Foxtrot Sierra podcast. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. And y'all know what it is. I will talk to y'all later. And I'm sitting here trying to find my. Oh, here it is. All right, here we go. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.